Ontario's government recently passed a law, Bill 89, that gives the government the right to take away your children from you if you don't accept your child's chosen gender identity. I don't simply mean they'll take away your children if they're transitioning because they're transgender and you don't go along with the transition. No, if the government did that, that too would be insane, but our government goes a step further than just that. The law stipulates that if you don't accept the gender identity of any identity chosen by your child, even ones outside male and female, you could still have your children taken away from you. So it's official. Ontario's government is a physical manifestation of a Tumblr blog. According to Tumblr's gender fluid master list, there are 114 gender identities to which anyone, for which any reason at all, can identify with. So Ontario, if suddenly your child feels like they're a cast flux instead of a boy, you as a parent better step in line, or else the government stormtroopers will come knocking down your door and to take away your children. They'll take away your children from you if you don't go along with any made-up gender that your child may have. If your child wants to identify with Kathleen Wynne's overpriced rubber ducky, for example, let them live their life as a rubber duck, or else the government's going to come get them. Jokes aside, there are two things deeply, pathologically insane with this new law. Number one, they're anti-family. The family traditionally is the lowest governing body within a society. It usually goes family, local community, province, and then federal government or national government. So family, in my opinion, is the lowest non-governmental government a person could have. But of course, with the iron fist of an all-powerful and ever-expanding government, the family unit has been ever so chipped away day by day. For example, before this law's passing, a Christian family in Ontario had their foster child taken away from them because they refused to tell them that the Easter Bunny isn't real. So right now, apparently in Ontario, if you lie to your children by telling them fairy tales, you'll have your children taken away from you. Who's next? I mean, the Tooth Fairy? Santa Claus? And why pick on them exactly? There are so many other things made up within our society that parents tell their children, like this whole multiple gender identity situation. It seems to me that Ontario's government hates the fictitious creatures in the Western tradition, instead preferring the fictitious traditions in the gender identities of the LGBTQ number sign group. That brings me to the next psychotic aspect of this law. Number two, multiple gender identities are made up. You might be asking yourself, where do all these gender identities come from? These multiple gender identities come from academics, postmodernists, and constructionists who theorize that nothing in this universe is absolutely true, even your own gender, but rather it's all relative and up for interpretation. The real-world proof that they have to offer, because you have to have some evidence for your claims, is that the disorder that transgenders have, gender dysphoria, they advocate that because gender dysphoria exists, gender and sex are two different constructs. In reality, gender, how you identify, and sex, biology, are, or rather, should be one and the same for everyone. It's a disorder if there's a disconnect between who you are and what you are. I'm black, I'm average height, I'm human, not an otherkin who identifies as an animal. So if I genuinely felt like I'm something that I'm not, then yeah, I would have a mental disorder. Likewise, if I genuinely thought I was one of these 100 genders, then yeah, I would have a mental disorder. Something would be wrong with me. And yet our government is legitimizing sickness. They're legitimizing the crazy ramblings of academic postmodernists and constructionists who ultimately believe that everything's relative and everything's up for interpretation. And they're legitimizing this insanity at the expense of people's children, our children. They'll take away our children from us if your child falls a victim to this and if you tell them the truth. There are only two genders. Your gender is affected by your biological sex. If not, then you have a disorder. So I mean, where do we go from here? Well, for starters, be defiant. Sign petitions. Be part of organizations like Campaign Life Coalition that are on the front lines of fighting against government tyranny, not just this bill, Bill 89, but also the law about gender pronouns, Bill C-16. Get together with people if possible and have a rally outside Queen's Park. Go and send out letters and emails to the people at Queen's Park. Tell them that you don't agree with these types of laws, that you don't want the government that's massively anti-family and anti-reality, but also be sure to fight against this on college campuses. Support professors like Jordan B. Peterson who are on the front lines of fighting against the postmodernists and the constructionists who made up all this crap in the first place. And lastly, don't settle for less. We need a government that represents all Canadians. We do not need a government that represents the LGBTQ number sign group or fake academics. We need a government that's pro-family and pro-reality. I'm Fayza from TheRebel.media. Hey, if you like that video and you want to support media outlets that fight against leftist tyranny, like, subscribe to The Rebel Edge.